So we had a presentation on Gemini 4. Obviously, it's by me and Damon here.
The Gemini 4 project was meant to accomplish two things. Learn about what the effects of space travel is. Okay, sorry. What the effects of space travel have on humans, and testing the equipment itself as to procedures going through the mission.
So the main two objectives of Gemini 4 were to see if humans could actually spend long-term times in space. It had already been accomplished by the Russians, but obviously we just couldn't take from the Russians. And the secondary objective was to see if we can actually perform a spacewalk, an American spacewalk. As I said, the Russians had already done this. So, yeah.
Here is the re-entry module for the Gemini 4 spacecraft. Here is where the astronauts are actually seated, equipped with ejection seats in case they need to bail out of the ship itself. There are thrusters that are intended to automatically adjust for re-entry, and this part flares out to connect to the rocket itself.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the actual astronauts here. So we have James McDivitt. He commanded the Gemini 4 mission. He had an extensive career in the U.S. Air Force. He commissioned as a pilot in May of 1952 as a second lieutenant. As you guys should know, all pilots have to be officers. And he retired eventually as a 07 or brigadier general. That's a one-star general in the U.S. Air Force as I said, when he retired. Next slide, please. After his life in NASA and leaving the United States Air Force, he became a leading person in some companies like Consumer Power and Pullman Incorporated. He's still alive to this day. As for where he lives and all that kind of stuff, it wasn't given. Next slide.
Here would be our hometown hero, and I will be speaking on behalf. I am Edward Higgins White. I was a 05 or a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force. I graduated as a West Point cadet. I was picked up for the Gemini 4 project, but prior I had worked on Mercury. And so, after the Gemini project, during which I performed extravehicular activity, I went on to worked 3 years in Germany flying planes such as the F-86 Sabre. And as you can read, I died in a cabin fire during a practice drill on Apollo 1.
All right, so as far as the launch goes, they launched in Cape Kennedy Air Force Station in Florida. This was a very historic launch because of the fact that, thanks to the early bird satellite, which was one of the first satellites put up into space for commercial use, the takeoff could be seen in places like Europe and all around the world, but mostly in Europe. Next slide.
There were complications during the launch itself. The rocket was slightly loose, causing much vibration that was noticed during the launch by the astronauts. There was also a problem making rendezvous maneuvers in space with the detached Titan II rocket. And next slide.
All right, so as far as the experiments that were conducted in space, as you probably know, most of the time when you are in space, you will conduct some experiments. First, we have D8, which measured radiation in a spacecraft environment. As you know, we just wanted to know whether or not we could really survive for a long term because of the radiation. Secondly, we have S5 and S6, which were basically just used to photograph weather from space, so we could get some extra details as far as that goes. There were some others, but they weren't as important in our opinions.
Re-entry and landing. There were problems upon re-entry as well. The computer that would have automatically adjusted for re-entry failed, it was not working. As well as a thruster that would have helped slow down the descent, that stopped working as well, and they had a much harder landing in the ocean than was usual. But they did land successfully and was picked up by the USS Wasp, and they were honored by President Lyndon B. Johnson.
Alright, so here are some basic missions that were related to Gemini 4. We obviously have Oscar 2, which Paige and them talked about in their slide presentation. We have the whole Gemini program and then also the Apollo program. The reason the Apollo program was important and had to do with Gemini 4 and the rest of the Gemini program was the Gemini program set up for the Apollo program. And the Apollo was the actual program that got a man into the space, into the moon. Yeah, basically Gemini set up for what Apollo did, and Apollo accomplished a lot, so yeah.
The astronauts spent a total of 4 days in space, during which they completed 66 orbits around the Earth. They accomplished, or Edward White himself went out of the vehicle and completed various tasks, which is known as extravehicular activity.
Alright, so this is the actual spacewalk, just as a preface. This is the actual spacewalk. You're not going to be able to hear much, but if you want to look this footage up on YouTube, it's really cool. You get to hear all the communications between ground control and the two astronauts. And there is some cool stuff that goes on behind the scenes and some other things that happen. So if you want to look that up on YouTube, you can. No, please go on. Yeah, you can. So this is one of the patches that there's multiple patches that they have for Gemini 4. Here are the two astronauts. Here's the actual footage. As you guys can see, it's very difficult to get out of the hatch. Wearing full space, it's a little hard to move. Pretty soon here he's going to get off of the actual spacecraft and here it is. And he's going to start floating now. Now if you're wondering what looks like copper piping is, it's actually the tether that he used to stay with the spacecraft. There he is. And Marco, you can stop now.
Does he stay that close?
Huh?
Does he stay that close?
No, he actually goes pretty far out, as you can see right here. He goes pretty far out. He goes around here and comes back and goes back here. Yeah. Next slide, please. So, what did we learn from Gemini 4? Quite obviously, we learned that humans can, in fact, withstand long-term space flights, and that even with all those odds stacking against them, they can still, you know, go into space, stay there for a while, and come back to Earth safely, relatively. So me and Damon are going to explain some pictures here. This is one of the most famous photographs of the actual spacewalk. As you can see, the tether's here, and there's the space. I mean, there's the And then we have that same thing, the same patch we saw there. Damon, if you want to explain this?
Here we have the recovery of the capsule itself. It landed in the ocean, of course, and the USS Wasp went out and had to use hitches and such to pull it out of the water. And here is a picture of the inside of the capsule itself with its controller right there.
Another patch, or maybe an emblem of some sort, it was never really explained. Here is them actually climbing out of the space capsule, along with some divers that came along and helped them out. And here's a lifeboat, obviously. Here is a picture of the actual spacecraft inside of a museum, and here is it out in space. All right, here are some of our sources. Obviously, we use some Wikipedia and some other things. All right, so we're going to have some interactivity here. Let's answer some questions. Who was the first American to do a spacewalk? No one?
McDivitt?
No, it was actually White.
So it's like,
Edward H. White.
Edward H. White, yes.
And what was the first mission in the world to actually complete extravehicular activity?
Guys, this is the first mission. Yeah.
Gemini 4.
This is in the world, not America. I mean, this is America.
Is it?
Yes.
The Vosh coming too?
Good. That is actually correct. All right. So who commanded Gemini 4? Someone said it before. We did it. Yes. That is 100% correct.
What kind of planes did Edward White fly?
E86.
Ooh, close.
F-36 Sabre.
Good. Perfect. And where was Gemini 4 launched? So it was launched at Cape Kennedy Air Force Station in Florida. Right, and then go on to the next, please. And here are all the answers. So if you want to jot those down, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Thank you for watching our presentation, and we hope you have a great day.
Questions?
Yes. Anyone have any questions or comments, concerns? No? Okay.